Hi and welcome to the lecture on initial value, and we're going to pick up from the last lecture where we created a little concept we can see here. Now in this lecture we're just going to fill in some initial value. So the goal here is to set initial values to get a feel of the scene and establish our sort of mood, if you like. So what this is actually depth perspective. So we're going to add, you can see straight away I've added a darker value in the foreground, and that pulls that part of the image forward straight away. So it's got a really low value. And the further back into the scene it goes, the lighter it gets, which pushes the back plane further away. So we have the foreground, and now you can see I'm working on sort of mid-ground values. The scene is set at night, so I need to get that right, obviously. The other thing you might notice here is that it's black and white, and the reason why it's black and white is, like I said before, we're just dropping in values. We don't want colour to get in the way, basically. We just want values, and we can think about colour afterwards, you know, later in the big picture. When we do the big when we do the big painting, we'll think about colour then. We don't need to think about it here. And this just simplifies the process. Here you can see I'm trying to pull out the hut a little bit more, trying to work into it, trying to get it a bit more established. And I think by the end I do actually achieve that. And again, this is sped up, this video. It took me, I'd say, about 20 minutes in all to to complete, and that's probably about right. So the initial sketch wasn't very long at all, and then, you know, if you take the initial sketch and then you take the values, within an hour you have something that you can show your team members and say, what do you think about this? And they get a sense of the mood, they get a sense of the scene, they get a sense of the space, and if nobody likes it, it's not a lot of work lost. So you can just then do another, onto the next one, and dismiss these two images. So it's really worth doing in that respect. It's really important to add a sense of depth, and the more you work into it, the more you do it. But you know, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to spend too much time here. It's you know, it's just ideas at this stage. You're still pushing out ideas and getting a feel for the scene itself. During the thumbnail stage and this initial value stage, it's really down to your imagination. Your imagination is your only limitation, so use it well. Quite often when I do these images, I let the image tell a story, and I can already see it building in this. Sketch. You know, the story of why is there two cans outside the hut? You know, who lives in the hut? You know, and when I do the colour, you'll see I start to add a lot more story ideas into it. And there I'm just darkening it up some more, pulling the foreground even closer to the viewer. And the darker you make it, the more that will happen. Although you don't want to go too dark, so you need to get the balance just right. Just keep it rough. Don't worry about going over lines or anything like that. You're just setting up all your initial values. I'm sorry, I noticed it in the last lecture. I go quiet sometimes during these, and it's because I'm concentrating on the actual painting process here, and I'm looking at what I've done. So I apologise for any silent spots. Maybe I'll drop in some music in the background or something. But yeah, so I'm sort of painting in some shadows here as well. Just dropping in the initial value, so you get an idea of what it's all about. Some highlights, very simple highlights there. You see, I'm just pick up brush to drop down some darker values here and there along the top. It's almost like a vignette, that those trees in the foreground there. So it's like it's really nicely framed, and you can see the flow of this image. This is why I'm kind of like it. The flow from top left flows down the tree and down the path and into the scene. And it's just got a nice feel about it. And that's quite important. It's good, well, in my opinion, it's got a good composition on this image. And still working in value. That hut gets a lot clearer by the time we finish. You know, when it comes to this, just feeds the imagination as well. So when you come to do the bigger image, you get more ideas on top of the ideas you've already had. So you're not really because a lot of the work is done at this stage. By the time you finish these and you're going on to the bigger image, a lot of the work is done. All you really have to think about is creating a quality painting. And then you can add the extra details on top, because you can, there's not much to think about really. So very quickly you've done a lot of your work. You've done a lot of the ideas stage. Got your values sorted out. And in the next lecture, actually, we'll take a break. We'll take a sort of snapshot of what before we go into creating the big picture, we'll take a snapshot and have a look at what we've created up to this point. It's always worth reviewing progress. So, yeah. See now, I kind of start to work in details, and I'm searching for things to add, and I probably shouldn't be doing it too much at this stage. So I could have probably ended it. And I think I told you, and play with the values more as here we go. Yeah, I play with the values overall. Yeah, play with the values, the contrast, to sort of pull the values and push the values away further, the light and the shade. Adds a lot more depth to the image. You can see I'm just pulling it around there just to see. This package, Critter, is amazing for this kind of thing. It's a really good art package for artists. So if you don't have it, just download it and start playing with it. It's really cool. Yeah, I can tell when I finish because I start adding. That's a good sign. If you start looking for things to do and adding stuff, little details, it's like, I don't need to do that at this stage. You do that for the next one. So you can see I'm starting to fiddle around with little ideas at this stage. Yeah, adding some plants in the corner there, just rough bush or something. It doesn't really need it at this stage, but it's just you can get lost in it and get carried away. So you've got to be careful. You've got to pull yourself out now and again and take a step back. Adding some more details. Don't need that. You can see, I think I rubbed that out actually. And, yeah, there you go, gone. So I know when I'm done. This stage is done. I think I'll just finish up soon. So just be careful you don't overdo it. just it doesn't matter what it looks like at this stage. You can see just by even if you squint, you get the idea of this little sketch of what it's giving you. So much value, the lightness in the background, and that's going to be moonlight coming through the trees when I finished. And there we go. This is the finished initial value stage. Very rough, very quick, but I get what I need from that, and it's actually very cool. I hope you like that. That's really good. Okay, I'll see you in the next lecture.